Phone is unmuted.
So they can hear me.
Camera.
Hi! We had a little technical glitch, so pardon us, but here we are. For some unknown reason, the Facebook stream came up, but the YouTube one did not. So we kind of had to figure it out. So anyway, problem solved. I hope everybody's having a great day so far. Today is a snow day. The maritime provinces here are under snow advisories, heavy snowfall warnings, etc., storm warnings. Some parts of Nova Scotia are really getting pelted. And we've just got a really pretty snowfall today, maybe about 4 or 5 inches. That's about it. But it's going to be a fabulous white Christmas. Fingers crossed. We didn't have a white Christmas last year. Instead, we had roof repairs. So we are so glad that everybody came to join us today. So I'll say hello to a few people. Margaret Davies, Elizabeth Allard. There's Bev and Maylee. Hi, Maylee. And Milena Lanka. Kimberly Arthur from VA, Virginia. And Phyllis Griffey. Hello, Phyllis. And Karen Wilson. How are things in Meaford? Hopefully they're a little warmer. And Patrick Panifus. Hello, my dear. Oh, my goodness. Everybody's here today. From Frigid, Michigan, Linda Salsini. Well, hopefully it warms up a little bit. Linda Park. Hello, Linda. And Nancy Focardi. Hello, sweetie. Nancy and Linda are probably two of the most prolific REK makers I have ever met in my life. These ladies are amazing. All year I've been watching them post these fabulous pins and things that they give away to family and friends. Linda was busy at NET this year handing out pins, and I have absolutely no doubt that Linda is going to be doing the same. She's incredible. And Sylvie Miller, hello. I'm so glad you guys came to join me. I know this time of year is super busy, and I'm finally ready for the holiday. I have all my shopping done. I have a little more wrapping to do, but that's about it. Shopping is done. I've done a little bit of baking, and but all the groceries are done. Everything is ready for the holiday. And so I don't have to leave my house for the next 5 or 6 days. I can just sit and paint and create and just have some fun in my studio. And I was really looking forward to seeing everybody today. So I'm so glad to see everybody here. Hi, Leanne. Oh, we're back on YouTube now. We had a little problem this morning, but got it fixed. And Linda Griffith. Hello, Linda. And Brenda Ellis. Awesome. Well, I'm so glad you guys are all here. I'm glad you came to play. I decided we were going to do something fairly simple, a little bit of fun, a little stenciling. This is an older design that I never actually never actually painted it. I've had it drawn out for ages, but never actually painted it until this past week. So I had a little bit of fun with this. It was great. So we're going to paint gingerbread and little snowmen on this. Renee taught me something interesting this morning. You might be wondering why we called this Christmas Mitten. Because apparently lollies has a different connotation on the internet than it is not a good one. So we decided to go with Christmas Mitten. So just to be on the safe side, because I don't want that to end up in somebody's search engine. It would not be pretty. Especially at our age, there's only so much we can take.
Keep the Google safe search
on. Yes, absolutely. Absolutely. So in case you're wondering why we called it Christmas Mitten, that's why. And before we get started, I have to talk to you about giveaways. Today we have, I think it's a nice little giveaway. We've got a little Create bag. And inside the bag, we have a limited edition Tombow mechanical pencil, and it comes with a limited edition eraser as well. It's a very nice mechanical pencil. If you haven't ever used one, I absolutely love mine. The quality is exceptional. They're beautiful to work with. And so we have one of those in each of those Create bags, as well as a set of professional drawing pencils and some Dynasty brushes. So there's always goodies from us as well. So those are giveaways today. We have 3 of them. And it'll make somebody's stocking merry this year. So that is what we're going to be doing for giveaways today. In order to get your name on the wheel for the giveaways, all you have to do is join us in the chat, hit the subscribe button or the like button or the share button or the follow button. Hit all the buttons. Make sure you say hi so we can copy and paste your name onto the wheel, and then you'll have a chance to win one of 3 of those giveaways. So if you guys are ready to get started on our Christmas lollies, you can't unsee it. you just can't unsee it. Now it's there. I'm not sure I'm happy about that. And if you're ready to get started, so am I.
I'm just glad all the cameras are working.
Thanks for keeping us safe. Yeah, I can only take so much trauma, you know. So this is the one that we're painting today, this little one with our little festive lollipops. I've heard some rather risque comments regarding the peppermint sticks.
Yeah.
What's that?
Those poor gingerbread.
Yeah. Somebody asked me if I, had remembered to take the hook off before I inserted them. I thought, okay, no, they're just straight candy sticks. And these are cookies. Just saying. No need to feel too badly.
A certain character from Shrek would beg to differ.
Probably, but he's minus a foot, so.
He lost it in nom.
He lost it in nom. Okay.
Nom, nom, nom.
Nom, nom, nom. Oh my God. Oh, Scooby Doozy. Happy holidays from Florida. Did you decorate the palm tree? Now that's a question. Yes, Janet, it was a question. It was quite a question. So this is the one we're going to be painting. This one is super easy to paint, and it is a lot of fun. And the bulk of it is actually doing this background.
I'm going to zoom in a bit here.
Okay. Have we been drinking? No, we have not.
Not yet.
No, not yet. It's a bit early in the day for that. Where was my train of thought? I had a train of thought. It derailed. Choo-choo.
Children.
Oh my gosh. What's in the eggnog? Yes, Renee is in fine form today. He started early this morning. And it's the holidays. It's going to get much worse. It is. I thank you, Lucy, and I think it's kind of cute. Sheila Landry, should they be drinking? It's a possibility. Okay, so before we get too silly, this is the surface I'm using. This is 6.5 by 11 mitten. You could put this on almost anything. The design actually functions really well for a variety of surfaces, so you don't have to have that. Do I carry the sled surface for the chickadees? You mean the little... you must be talking about the little sled that was on the group page today or on Facebook today. No, I don't have that sled. But I think that one is available from Stockade. Oh, you finally got your snow, Ann. Hi, Bonnie. Merry Christmas to you. Awesome. You have this pattern. I don't think you have this one because this one I just posted yesterday. I did a similar mitten a couple of years ago with a little snowman on a stick wearing a toque and whatnot, but this one is a little different. So to do this background, we're going to use a high-tech applicator. So I'm going to have 2 pieces of shop towel. I've just cut them into quarters. Maybe, if I can get them apart. So I've got 2 pieces of shop towel. And I'm going to make a high-tech applicator. And I'm going to use peacock teal. Maybe. I'm going to shake this bottle. Here we go. peacock teal. Pretty color. Such a pretty color. And I'm going to make a high-tech applicator. Now, my base color for this, I've applied one coat of gesso to this in sort of a slip-slap fashion. And it's nice and thin, but I let it retain some brush marks. Merry Christmas, Judy. And then I put one coat of warm white over top of that gesso. So I'm going to take my high-tech applicator, a little bit of water or fast dry glaze, and we're going to, I call this fuzzy worms. I'm going to apply some color like this. I just want to get some color on, varying darknesses, varying values, I guess. I don't want it to be solid, just some fuzzy worms all over the surface, like that. So it doesn't have to be perfect. And I like it to be a little darker in some places, a little lighter in others. Doesn't have to be perfect. And then I'm going to take a little bit of warm white. Remember, our base color over top of that gesso. Turn my applicator inside out. Take a little bit of warm white. There we go. And I'm just going to soften the boundaries between these colors, like that. Just so that we get soft edges. I don't want to have any harsh lines anywhere. Just like that. There we go. So essentially, I want that blue, that teal, that peacock teal to be a little stronger in some places, softer in others. I don't want any harsh borders. But I love this color. Just like that. Nice soft areas. So some places are going to have a little more white than others. Some places are going to be a little darker. Pretty, pretty. I love this color. That peacock teal is just so pretty. And it's a nice cool blue-green tone. It's nice and cool, very elegant. Works really nicely with gold or silver. It's very pretty. So there we go. So I have a nice mottled tone. Do I have the mittens? Yes, they are on the website. Hi, Vera. I like soft backgrounds. I like the stencil in this case because it's just snowflakes and polka dots. So I'm going to dry this really well. Now, the reason I used gesso in the background is for this. I don't know if it's going to show up on camera, but there's lots of brush marks and textures in this, and it helps make this color work really nicely. So you can see a few little textured areas, and it just gives a little bit of interest to the background. So we're going to stencil this using a little bit of white. You can use snow white, you can use not titanium white, warm white, cool white, whatever white you have handy. I've got a little bit of titanium white. This is just a fun little mate to the other one that I did with the snowman. So I've got A little bit of white, and I'm using a 1/2-inch stencil brush to do this. And we're going to layer in some snowflakes and some polka dots. So I'm going to start with some polka dots. And I kind of want these random. I don't want them to be too, covering everything, but just a few polka dots. I just like how this looks. Just gives it that wintry feel. There we go. The fun part about this is that it doesn't have to be perfect. Not even close. And I love polka dots for one thing. And this little tiny one just reminds me of snow. So there, I've got some 1/8 polka dots in there. I like that. It's random and simple. Hi, Miss Sandy. Hello, sweetie. Hi, Cheryl. Cheryl D'Agostino, you made it to alive. Good for you. Oh my goodness, you guys are really getting it. Hey, Sheila. There we go. And the second layer of stencils is going to be this one. This is M242. And I think this one is my favorite. And we're going to stencil a few snowflakes in randomly around the surface. And I like to change it up. I don't like to have it static, like using the whole stencil to fill in space. I like to strategically use some of the stencil, like so, to fill in that space. And they don't have to be perfect. Half the fun of this is the little mistakes, those little flaws or perceived flaws, those little things that are imperfect. It just makes things more interesting. There we go. A little bit of warm white or snow white or cool white, whatever white you've got handy to stencil on those snowflakes. Don't be shy. Oh, let's see. I rather like this one, this funky one right here. Yep, you can use a M square 54 too if you don't have 42. Any snowflake stencil will work just fine. And it makes for an interesting piece. And as I said, you can pick and choose where things go. They don't have to be perfect. The one thing I will say is make sure that some of your snowflakes go off of the surface. It just makes things more interesting and it implies a little more continuity. Instead of trying to keep the designs all within the shape. It just makes things much more interesting. So, there we go. Now, if you prefer, you can take a little bit of your, if you want to add a little more depth to this, you can take your peacock teal and your dirty stencil brush and add a couple of darker ones. If you want to add more depth and a little more texture, you can add a couple of darker ones just by picking up a little of that peacock teal with the white. It isn't really obvious, but it gives nice depth and nice texture to things. A little bit of interest, if you will. There's nothing wrong with having a darker snowflake either. It just makes things a bit more interesting. Look at that. I think it's pretty. There we go. So I think I'm happy with the stenciling. I love the layers in this. It's just pretty. All those textures. You would expect it to get really busy, but it's actually very soft and very subtle. Hi, Cindy. Hi, Kay. So I'm going to let this dry. I love the look of this. I just think that this is such a fun finish. Now, I like the edges to be a little darker. I like to have my edges sort of frame up the design a little bit. So I'm going to use a nice angled shader and a little bit of Jo Sonja's. I gotta love my glazed medium. So, I'm going to take I've got a 1-inch angle. I'm going to take a little bit of mermaid's tail. What's for dinner tonight? We are having gumbo. That's what we're having for dinner tonight. I put it on yesterday. I was on a kick yesterday cleaning up freezers and doing a lot of food prep and whatnot for the week. So I'm going to take a little bit of that mermaid's tail. We're going to put a float of that around the outside edge of the mitten. Just like that. This is going to give it a cool feeling. Just like that. So it doesn't have to be a perfect float. It's just adding a little depth to the outside edge. And it frames up the design quite nicely to have that little float in there. And this one's a bit strong, so I'm going to soften it a little. There we go. There. So that little float mermaid's tail around the outside edge just frames everything up really nicely. There we go. So I'm going to dry that real quick. This is a fun background for a variety of things. It's really nice for snowmen, for any type of winter theme. I really like this teal color as opposed to straight blue. The straight blue is very pretty. You could do this with any series of blues, but with this peacock teal and the mermaid tail and the cooler whites, I just think it's a really soft look. And if you wanted to, it could just be straight winter. You could add a whole bunch of different designs to this type. Do I plan my dinner menus for the week or do I take each day as it comes? For the most part, I usually have a working idea of what we're going to have all week. From time to time, though, I just kind of wing it, but usually I have a plan. And I do a lot of prep ahead of time. When my meat orders come in, I will pre-marinate things. I put my marinades into the package. I break the packaging up into portions. So I have a meal for 4 in one package. And I'll add any marinades or seasonings or whatever beforehand. And then I vacuum seal them and put them in the freezer. So I do a lot of that prep well ahead of time. So I always have, Greek style chicken or Greek style pork, or I always have something in the freezer. It's cold enough you won't thaw. She lives in Alberta. At this time of year, it's cold enough. It would never thaw on God's green earth. So we are set to trace and transfer our line drawing. And our surface is nice and dry now, so I can tape that in place. And then yeah. I'm reading the chat here. Karen knows me too well. I like to prep my food. That way I always know what I have. I love doing it that way. And then, if I feel like maybe not following the menu and want to do something different, it's easy. I can pull stuff right out of the freezer and make them. I do a lot of, if I prep the seasoning ahead of time, it makes a big difference, especially for the summer. I will put the steak seasonings and whatnot in there first. So if there's any marinades that I like to use, it goes right in the bag with the meat before I put it in the freezer. So as it thaws, it marinates. Yay! Oh my dear God, Deb, you are too much for TV. So I'm going to use a little bit of gray graphite to transfer these little guys on here. And I'm going to use my red gel pen. These little guys are too cute. I have a tendency to do the scarf. When it comes to painting the scarf, I have a tendency to just sort of wing it and decide, when I'm painting, whether it's going to be striped or polka dotted. And I always end up with polka dots. It's just a thing. Yeah, I do the same thing, Virginia. I buy my carrots 5 or 10 pounds at a time, and I do all of the chopping, dicing. Do that with celery as well, and onions. I buy red onions and yellow onions. I do the same thing. They all get packed into, 2-cup bags, and then vacuum sealed. Store them in the freezer. And I make spaghetti mix for the slow cooker. So I will do my peppers and red onions, garlic, carrots, celery, etc. Put that all into a bag. Usually it's a 1-quart bag, and then that's enough to make a pot of spaghetti sauce. And so I just have to dump that in. Sometimes I'll add sliced mushrooms to it, but I put all the garlic and everything all in the bag at the same time. And that way I just have to put the tomatoes and whatnot in the slow cooker. A little bit of ground beef or whatever I'm putting in, whether it's Italian sausage. And I'm ready to go. I just turn on the slow cooker and walk away. But it takes a little time to do all of that prep, and I usually set, a day aside to do a lot of it. The other day I did carrots and 4 heads of lettuce or of celery, and a 5-pound bag of onions, and 10 pounds of carrots, and I did 3 pounds of cranberries and got those made into cranberry sauce. And then I made a bunch of Italian sausage. I got 5 pounds of ground pork, and I made Italian sausage meat, seasoned that, put that in the freezer, and then it's ready to make for meatballs or for whatever you're doing. So, and then that way, whenever I want to make, Italian wedding soup or whatever it is I want to make, I have everything I need. But it's like I said, you take a day and you get your groceries, come home, and then you do all of your prep, and then it's all ready. And you've used one day. Me going to Google. My husband asked me what I would like for Christmas this year, and I asked him for a pressure canner. So, I'm excited. I got a pressure canner coming. I love my kitchen gadgets. I have so many kitchen gadgets, and I use all of them. I have 3 freezers, Janet. I have 2 refrigerators and 3 freezers. And a big pantry. And I have shelving in the storeroom with all my canned goods and homemade pickles, preserves, etc. I keep all of the... Oh, yay, good for you. And Karen, I love my KitchenAid. I used mine again yesterday. I made crispy bars and Rice Krispie squares. And what else did I make? Oh, Janet, I have been wanting one for ages, and I finally... So hopefully I got a good one. Oh, yum. Dried shredded beets are delish. Delish. So I'm going to draw on the eyeballs and can't forget the carrot. Now I'm just quickly tracing these for position mainly. I'm going to show you how to use a stencil to do this really quickly. Putting eyeballs on these creepy little bobs. I needed to do something with a bob on it. I hadn't done a bob this year. So needed to do a bob. Okay, let's check it out. Oops, I missed an eyeball. Hello, Nelda. Yes, it is on the website, Debbie. Okay. So, we've got our little critters on here. These guys work up fairly quickly. Our little snowman here is base coated with warm white. The nice part is that he's actually going to work up fairly fast. So I'm going to grab a small round, if I can find one. No, not that small. That'll do, right there. So I'm going to use a small round. We're going to base coat this little guy with warm white. Now, when I base coat, I follow the shape of the piece that I'm base coating. Now, I know when I paint over these buttons, you guys are not going to be able to see them, but I can distinguish them through the paint. And I just need them for placement. That's all. So, I want to get a coat of this on before I do this next step. We're going to shade around our little guy here, around all of 3 of these little fellas. There we go. With a little bit of mermaid tail. We're going to thin out some mermaid tail, and we're going to shade around these guys. So I'm going to find my 1/2 inch. Trying to find my 1/2 inch angled shader. There it is. Okay. Hi, Christina. Oh, I love my air fryer. I don't really have room for it either, but I made room. My oven also, my new oven also has an air fryer. It has that air fryer option, but I don't like it as much as I like my tabletop one. My countertop version, I like it much better. Okay, this color is too strong. So I'm going to float around my little snowman with a float of heavily thinned mermaid tail. I didn't quite thin that one enough. And I suggest doing this before you start base coating things, because it will make your life a whole lot simpler. So it's just a float all the way around. And it's just to lift these guys up a little bit, and I've used too much. I'm thinking now I should have used the peacock teal instead. I tell ya, yep, peacock teal. See, I can mess up. Some days I can mess up the Lord's Prayer. And today seems to be one of those days. Yesterday, I couldn't touch anything without breaking something. I had one of those monumentally klutzy days. That was me yesterday. I broke one of my favorite necklaces. I bent down, and when I stood up, the necklace hooked around the one of the knobs on my oven and snapped my necklace. So color me unimpressed. I was cleaning the drawer out of my big freezer, the one attached to my refrigerator, and my hand slipped, and I ended up dumping half the water that was in it. Instead of it going in the sink, it went on the floor and all over me. It was just an absolute klutz yesterday. I mean, everything I touched, I seemed to break yesterday. So, and today it's like using the wrong color for floating. So ignore what I said. It's not mermaid's tail. It's peacock teal. Otherwise, it's going to be too dark. There we go. There we go. So I've got shading all the way around my little guys. Going to make them, base coating them a whole lot easier. So our little snowman is base coated with warm white. I'm going to give him another coat because he's a little wanting. Not only that, but it gives me a chance to clean up the mess I made. Cleaning can be dangerous. I mean, some days I should just not get out of bed, and yesterday was one of them. I tried to shave the knuckle off of my left hand with the vegetable peeler while I was peeling carrots. It was just one of those days. You know, I think we all have them. Ouch. Jeez, Sheila. I hope you're okay, honey. So, we have a little snowman. I don't wax stairs. Stairs and I have a bad relationship. I've fallen down our stairs several times. I fell down the basement stairs. So our little gingers here are going to get base coated with raw sienna. This color is a little on the transparent side, so it is going to take a couple of coats. And it's going to look awful. I'm going to tell you now, it's going to look awful for a little bit. But then it will look just fine when we're done. So they just look really muddy for a bit because this paint is terribly transparent. And putting any color underneath it doesn't really change that. It's just one of those colors. I've put almondine or other colors underneath it, and it looks muddy for a bit. It's just one of those colors. What did I miss? Oh, Harlan, thank you. Appreciate stars. And as you know, we anything that we receive from either the super chat or from the stars goes towards our Puppers Fund. Or Feed the Puppers Fund. Which we will be doing that shopping run in the new year. There's just a little much going on right about now. I seem to be having an awful lot of those days. I have days where, couldn't find my butt with both hands. And yesterday I was just a hazard on feet. And thank you, sweetie. Miss Sandy is awesome. So we've got two of these little buggers to base coat. So while one is drying, I'm going to finish out the other one. I love raw sienna. I love the tone of it, love the look of it, but it doesn't cover very well. And so it takes a couple of coats, which is not a big deal, really. So, if anybody happens to see Canson velvet paper or has used it, I'd love to hear your thoughts. I have been rather excited about this new paper that Canson is producing called Velvet. They make it for pastels. And I've kind of been hearing mixed reviews, so I'm really curious. I wanted to get some, but I have not been able to find it. So if you get some or if you happen to see where it is, I'd love to know. I'm really quite anxious to try it. I've heard mixed reviews in reference to it. I'd really like to try it for myself. I found out. Oh, yeah, Deb, I know. That's when you discover just how many muscles in your body you can possibly hurt. Is fall down a flight of stairs. I fell down the main staircase in the house here one day and landed on my tuchus at the bottom. And it wasn't until a couple of days later that I realized just how many things could bruise. I was the most interesting color. I mean, from ankles up. Oh, you got the dry media. I'm anxious to try the velvet paper. Oh, we have them in stock. The cardinals, we already have them in stock. Okay, so I'm going to dry this, and then we're going to put a second coat on these. Hi, Phyllis. Oh my goodness, 15 of them. I bet there's some happy people out there now. So I'm going to put a second coat onto our little gingers here. This coat can be a little more generous, and so that it covers a little bit better. But I have found that it takes at least 2 to 3 to get really good coverage. If you're not fond of the honey brown, or if you or the raw sienna, you can use honey brown for the gingers. I just find I like the color once you've got 2 or 3 coats down. I don't like that it's very transparent, and I haven't found a base color or an undercolor yet that that covers it well, or that provides a nice base for it. So I'm finding that, that second or third coat generally gives you the opacity. And I'm a little more generous with that second coat too. So, I don't spread it out quite as thin, so that I get nice coverage. And the gingers are just cute. So I have my project all set up and ready to go for the holidays. I've had a colored pencil project sitting here waiting for free time to start it, and I'm taking some time over the holidays. And so that is my project for this year. So I'm working on kind of focusing on doing reflective surfaces. So I'm working on a piece with glass. It's a glass. I don't know how to describe it. Like a Sunday glass. It's a fluted glass. Very pretty. Here we go. So our gingers are almost done. This is the longest part, putting that in. Mitten velvet. It comes in gray values, light values, creams, whites, and browns. And I'm looking for any of them. Just haven't been able to find any here. Haven't been able to find a retailer here. So, the pencil project I'm working on is, the tutorial is by Cynthia Knox. She's remarkable. I'm so impressed with her work, and I'm impressed with her instruction. She's a remarkable lady, remarkable teacher. Drawing skills aside, she's a remarkable teacher. So I'm really excited about doing this particular tutorial. And then I get a lovely surprise. So I'm going to be her guest at her January 4th class. That beautiful spaniel. You might have seen it on my page. She's teaching that. And I was just tickled pink. I'm just so excited to be a part of that class. I'm a fan of her work. I'm a fan of Mark Menendez as well, and really, he is a remarkable teacher as well. So informative. Just the amount of information that you're given in one of his classes is extraordinary. And he is so open to giving advice and helping you. It's just, they're both remarkable. So I've been very fortunate. I've heard, when it comes to the velvet, I've heard mixed reviews. So I'm anxious to try some myself. Okay, so I'm going to dry these little guys. Now, our little snowman up there has a scarf. And we have to paint these candy canes. I don't want to call them candy canes. They're not really candy canes. Peppermint sticks. Let's call them that. The candy cane thing implies that there's a hook on it somewhere. That's just wrong, given their location. Hi, Mace. Oh, I have company. What has she got?
Her ball.
Oh, okay.
She's got her ball.
She's happy.
Good afternoon from Sudbury, Ontario.
Suzanne Gagnon? I'm assuming that's Suzanne Gagnon. Susan G. Suzanne G. Oop. Miss Mays is here. Got her ball. Hi, puppy dog. Happiest dog in the world, I think. She's been having entirely too much fun. She loves the gift wrapping thing. all she sees is boxes under the tree. Just stuff to chew on. And she's been staring bullets into her stocking because she can see the toys sticking out of it. So there we go. We've got warm weight on our peppermint sticks. Margaret, lolly in the internet world refers to a certain type of pornography. Hence the reason we're not calling it lolly. So I'm going to dry that, and we're going to paint the scarf with this. This is watermelon slice. Cake Pops is a better descriptor. I agree. Yep, Cookie Pops or something like that. Just not lollies. Okay, I need to use a different brush. We're going to paint stripes onto our candy cane. I'm going to use a small rigger for this. And we're going to base coat the scarf with watermelon slice. And it will likely take a couple of coats.
Is Maze getting a bob for Christmas?
No, she's getting a flat raccoon, a chicken, and
a football.
And she got a tug toy, and she got a bunch of stuff.
Oh,
and she's getting her new harness. What?
Yeah, her harness is a ways out, apparently.
Yeah. It is stuck somewhere in the melee of the post-strike mess. So yes, Miss Maze is going to be pampered and spoiled this Christmas. She's been eyeballing that stocking. Her 10-year-old multi-poo has an appointment Monday to get her teeth taken care of.
Poor pup. Is that what I gotta do to trim your nails? Just give you a toy? So I can touch your foot and your...
She's fine with it as long as you give her a good toy to chew on. It beats the alternative of her chewing on you.
Is the post-strike still on?
No, but they are dealing with the backlog right now, so it's slow going. They have been ordered back to work, so they're getting things done, but there's a backlog, so it's taking time. Even our companies like UPS and Purolator are dealing with a huge backlog. Oops, somebody's making cranberry sauce. Phenomenal.
Food and treats.
Am I all stuffed up again? Not really, but my asthma's been acting up the last few days, so I'm okay. So, I'm going to paint in stripes of watermelon slice. And I'm going at about a 1/4 inch wide. I mean, they're in the line drawing. You can use the line drawing for your guide, but you can also just sort of wing it. I like winging it. Hi, Maze.
You can't get any closer.
No, she can't.
You're gonna try, aren't you?
We have tried all during the strike to make sure things get out as quickly as possible. Unfortunately, it wasn't always as quick as we would have liked. The shippers were only picking up on certain days. They would sort of rotated through. Now they see truckers are striking against Amazon. So,
You shipped out some of the originals yet?
no,
No.
I'm not doing any of those until after the holidays. It's just, they're going to get stuck in that backlog, and I don't want them to. The longer they're in the system, the more they run the risk of getting smashed.
Yeah.
And they'll be going out via courier. So, I'm just going to wait until this post madness is done. Hi, Vicky. There she is. So, watermelon slice for those alternating stripes in our peppermint sticks. We have Miss Mays in the studio with Renee. She's busy chewing away on that ball.
You good?
There we go. So there we go. We're almost finished with this part. Then the boring stuff will be done. This is the boring stuff I was doing. Miss Mays. Miss Mays. Miss Mays is over 70 pounds now. And thinks she's a lap dog. I know that smell, Philomena, is unreal. There's just something about it that, especially with the orange rind, and oh, it's just so yummy. So we've got all of that base coating done. Let's talk about those leaves. These leaves are really quick. I'm using desert cactus. I know it sounds like an odd choice with all of these teal-based colors, but this desert cactus works so well with teal. So all these little teardrops get based with desert cactus. And it's a grayed out green. And it's just so pretty with these teals, especially once we have them all done. So get these quickly base coated. I am going to be putting up a couple of recipes this afternoon or this evening. One for a baked brie that is done with Grand Marnier, cranberries, and crushed pecans. That is to die for. Now you do need a little bit of puff pastry, or I prefer puff pastry to phyllo, but it is, you can do it with either one. I like the puff pastry. I just find it gives it a nicer presentation. And it is just so delicious. So, Philomena, if you want, you can use your cranberry sauce. That cranberry sauce recipe is the one that I use for my brie. And it just makes for such a delicious dip. I like to take the skin off the brie on the top. That's my personal preference. Some people just like to score it. I prefer to take it off. So I really chill it first and then slice the top and then very carefully take the top skin off. And then you add the Grand Marnier to the cranberry sauce. Mix it well. And then add the cranberry sauce on top of the brie. And then the whole thing is wrapped in the puff pastry and then baked. And so when you cut it, it's just heaven. The smell is just heaven. So, and I like to use the orange Grand Marnier personally. But you can use any one you like. I like the orange because I like the citrus. Here we are. There we go. Et voila. Okay, so we are ready to do all the fun stuff. Gravy biscuits, fried taters, fried apples, pork chops, sausage, bacon, monkey bread, cinnamon rolls. Oh my gosh. Oh, Philomena, you got to try it. That brie it's sensational. I use a double cream brie for it, and it's just sensational. Sensational. So we are ready to start painting our little gingers. I love these little guys, my little bobs. They're simple, but they're so cute. So we're going to paint our little bobs. I'm going to use a 3/8 angled shader. And our shading color is, you guessed it, asphaltum. Our Christmas Eve is, we do a lot of finger foods. Oh, with olives. Oh, yum. Savory brie. Do you use rosemary? Oh my goodness. Baked brie savory with olives. Oh, yummy. I love olives. I love anything with olives. Olive bread. I love olives. Brie with chopped olives, oil soaked, dried tomatoes, and pine nuts. Oh my gosh. Oh, I think I'm going to need that recipe. I'm going to need that recipe. For Christmas dinner this year, we are doing a roast leg of lamb, Moroccan style. So it's heavy on the cardamom, cinnamon. It's going to be lovely. It has a very dark gravy that's made with red wine. And with that, we are having creamed potatoes and honey glazed carrot and roasted Brussels sprouts. And Christmas Eve. What should I? Cream, I guess. Cream, Patrick. So we're going to do a little shading on these cookies. I'm going to put a nice little float of asphaltum on the left side of our cookie, like so. I haven't quite got enough in my brush here. No, Chuck does not care for Brussels sprouts. Hence the honey glazed carrot. So, float of asphaltum on the left side. Little float there. Look at that. Oh, Linda, I'll post the recipe on my website today for the baked brie. It's delicious. It's delicious and it's easy. And as I said, I prefer the puff pastry. Nice, Gail. That's delicious. We had that the other night. One of my favorite things to make, especially for New Year's, not Christmas so much, but for New Year's, is my seafood chowder. I make seafood chowder, and that's usually a favorite. But Christmas Eve is reserved for all of those things, like the baked spinach dip, the baked brie, my seafood cocktail. Those types of foods that are, easy to eat. We don't need to have a big setup table where we can just take paper plates and napkins and publish it or nibble as you please. Oh, I love olives. Yes, I'll ask Philomena. I'm sure would be happy to share that. So, I've got shading. It's all on the left side. And I'd like to put a little shadow here under the arm. This little shadow kind of gives the cookie that elevated look. So it's not just a flat surface. It kind of looks a little rounded over. And of course this one, we need to separate these two. So we're going to put a float here underneath this one to get that little shadow. And I like that, again, like that little shadow under the arm kind of gives the cookie a little height. And we're going to put a shadow here because this one is underneath that peppermint stick. And it's got to get on the other side as well. There we go. There we go. So we've got that first shading on our cookies. Now we're going to add some details to these little guys. I'm going to grab a dry brush, and I'm using this. This is just a little point blender. And you can use almondine. You can use a little bit of warm white for this. But I need this brush to be almost dry. So we're going to put a little highlight, just like this, on our cookie. Just in the center, like so. And it's just a little dry brush. It's not meant to be super bright. But this is just going to give the center of this cookie a little elevation, a little more height. And that's why I wanted those brush marks when I put the gesso on, is so that we have a little bit of texture on the top of the cookie when we add this dry brushing. And it just gives the cookie a bit more character. So here we've got a little dry brush highlight in the middle. Hi, Cindy Kessler. Hi, Miss Deb. And then, oh goodness. See, I wasn't paying attention. There we go. I was too busy reading the chat. So, again, I'm going to, nice little dry brush on my cookie, just towards the center of the arms, the center of the face, center of the body. It's just to give this little guy a little elevation. Just so that he doesn't look quite so flat. There we go. It also kind of gives him sort of a candied look, like he's got a little bit of powdered sugar stuck on him. So there we go. He's got a little bit of height now. Oh my goodness. So he also has cheeks. So I'm going to take that same dry brush and a little bit of that watermelon slice. And I'm going to work that in. And then up here on the face, I'm going to put in a couple of little rosy cheeks. Just a couple. Doesn't need to be much. Little rosy cheek. There we go. So we've got rosy cheeks on our gingerbread. We've got that dry brush in. So now we're going to add the buttons. And I'm going to show you a fun little trick. So if you've been collecting any of my little mini stencils, this is a handy little tool to have. So I've got, this is a 1/4 inch polka dot stencil. So you can have the M222 or you can have the minis, either or. And then you're going to need a small stencil brush, like so. So we're going to put eyeballs on our gingerbread. And we need a little bit of lamp black. You don't need much. There we go. So I'm going to pick up a little bit of lamp black on your stencil brush. And you're going to position your stencil. And you're going to use that to make your eyeballs. And then I like to do the same thing for the buttons down the front. And I just line them up with the peppermint stick so that they go down the center of the body, like so. And I like to space them about half the width of the polka dot, like that. So now we have 3 polka dots going down, and we're going to do the same thing to the other one. I gotta dry that, or otherwise I'm gonna smear polka dots, because I'm gifted that way. Wonder Woman is back. Hi, Judy. So we're going to put 3 polka dots down the front of our cookie. Just like that. And we're going to do the same thing to our snowman. So we need eyeballs on our snowman. This is just the fastest and easiest way to get really perfect little eyeballs on your snowman and on your cookie. There we go. Oh, I'm constantly putting my hand in wet paint. Hi, Charlotte. Yes, ma'am, I do. The stencils that I use are a collaborative effort between myself and Sandy McTeer. The two of us have been working together for a number of years, and we design these and have fun with these and create with these, and we both sell them. And it's so great to work with a friend. Just like my surfaces, I work with my other bestie to create my surfaces. So there we have eyeballs and buttons, and suddenly they have personality. Yes, Liz. So I'm going to dry this really well, and then we're going to switch to another stencil brush. I'm going to use another small one, if I can find one. If I can find a clean one, I think, is probably the question. There we go. Oops. Okay, that's not a stencil brush. Where is my stencil brush? My problem lately is that I have too many brushes and none of them are clean. There we go. So we're going to use this same stencil to do all of the berries in the background. So we're going to use a little bit of titanium white. You can use warm white, whatever white you've got handy. I happen to have titanium white on my palette, so I'm going to use it. So I'm going to position that stencil over my polka dot, over my berries, and I'm going to stencil them with white. Just like that. I've just found that this makes short work of what could be a tedious thing. You got stencils, you might as well use them. Right? And the 1/4 inch polka dot stencil is just that perfect size for this kind of thing. I love polka dots. I'm kind of obsessed with polka dots. So white berries. Easy peasy. This is just a simple way to get all of those little things done. Those minute little details. And they work up quickly. And then you have consistency. All of your berries are the same size. All of them are round. Also of importance, they're round. Just like that. So we have white berries. And all you need is a polka dot stencil. It's more than just a polka dot stencil. It's a berry stencil. It's an eyeball stencil. It's a button stencil. You can use it for so many different things. Now, somebody asked me the other day how I store stencils. I have these things. This is a check file. I get these from office supply stores. So all of my little mini stencils go in these check files. Keeps them nice and flat, keeps them from getting stuck on things, and keeps them all in one place. And I use them for all sorts of stencils. So all of my Tim Holtz stencils, they fit perfectly inside one of these things. So I have all of my Tim Holtz stencils in one of these. I have my Sandy McTeer stencils in these. See, even have the Sandy McTeer. All of her slim stencils are in here. Gosh, I have an empty one. All of my Chris Hoy templates and stencils are in here, as well as I have, these are cake decorating and coffee stencils. And these are fabulous. And then I have journaling stencils. I keep those in here. And then I have a bunch of my mini stencils from the Stencil Studio. I keep those in a check file as well. That way, no matter where they go, they're not getting snagged on a bunch of different things. And it's an easy way to keep track of what you have. Such a great little tool, and it keeps them all handy because they're compact. They're not just in a pile or in a drawer somewhere. And so these ones stay in the cart that is next to my painting table, so I can just reach over and grab whichever one I need. Easy peasy. It's a great way to store all of those odd shape, those small ones. And then I use card file holders for my bigger ones. I have an acrylic notebook with clear sleeves. I just found that this is a much simpler method. So look at this. We're ready to do all of these fun things. So the first thing I'm going to do is give these eyeballs a little bit of elevation. So we're going to add a shadow to the right side of each eyeball. So little float of asphaltum just to the right of each eye from top to bottom. Just like this. Would help if I got a little more paint on the brush. So little float, just like that. Easy peasy. So that little float, although it's such a simple one, it's going to make a huge difference. Look who came to visit. Bob's here. So that little float's going to lift up those buttons and eyeballs. It's just a little one. Easy peasy. And you can make it a little bit darker. It just gives these buttons the appearance that they're not sunk into the surface, that they're actually floating above it or actually sitting on it. So once that's done, I like to take that same thin asphaltum and we're going to put a float like this on each arm and each leg, like so. I know it doesn't look like much. And then we're going to take that small rigger and that warm white or titanium white, whatever white you've got on your palette, and you're going to do this. There's your little bit of icing. And I do it so that that little float and that little line just sort of cruises along the edge of that float. Just creates a nice little shadow. Like that. And then on the top of the head, I like 2 little comma strokes for hair. Easy peasy. Just gives that icing a little more depth when it has that little shadow. And it doesn't have to be perfect. It's just a little line. Billy Bob and Sally Bob. Okay. I like a little icing. There we go. Do I bake ginger bobs? No, not really. I prefer to paint them. We're not big gingerbread people. So I'm going to switch to a 1/4 inch angled shader. I don't often use a 1/4 inch angle. I'm not a big fan of really tiny brushes, especially angles. 1/4 inch is about as small as I go. Need a Sally to go with my bob? I do have a Sally to go with my bob, but she's not a zombie. Bob's a zombie. Bob is a zombie cookie. Like, that's not weird enough. So I'm going to add a little float to the left side of each of those buttons with a little bit of thinned warm white. And that float comes in just slightly from the edge of the button, so it leaves a little sliver. And we're going to do the same thing to the eyeballs. And Bob was actually a little bit of a mistake. When I painted him, I have no idea why, but I painted his eyes white and his buttons white, and he looked so creepy, and I couldn't figure out why. And then I realized that I had painted his eyes white, and it was not intentional. It just sort of happened, and it was kind of creepy. So we've had a great deal of fun because of Bob, but he is kind of creepy with his white eyeballs. And this brush has got a problem here. I'm going to switch to my 3/8 because I've got an issue with my 1/4 inch. Oh, I'll switch to my other 1/4 inch. How's that? There we go. There. That's better. I couldn't get a float out of it. It wouldn't float. Yes, that's how Bob became. Cabbage Patch dolls. I remember those. I thought they were ugly. I still do. And I'm going to do the same thing to our little snowman here. I'm going to make his eyeballs a little float of warm white. And it's a soft float. It's not a hard float. We don't want it to be a hard float. There we go. So we've got little highlights in. And then we're going to take that rigger. You can do this with a stylus or a liner brush. And Beanie Babies, yes. So on the upper left side of that highlight, we're going to put a dot of either warm white or titanium white, whatever you have on hand, whatever you have on the palette. Yes, the new frosting would be cute on these. I agree. So little dot, upper left, and then each of the buttons gets the same treatment. I just think once you have eyeballs on these things, they take on a little more life. And I like them without a mouth. But if you like them with a mouth, by all means, put one in. I just think they're super cute this way. So our little snowman there, he needs a little TLC. And because he's white, I don't want to use asphaltum because then he's going to look kind of grungy, and I don't want him to be grungy. So we're going to use a little bit of Bahama Blue. Oh, Iris, Deckwort's got a new product out. It's part of the Love Color line. that's called frosting, and it's this wonderful texture medium. And it would be so cute to do the icing because it would be dimensional. So I'm going to grab my 3/8 angled shader, and I'm going to pick up a little bit of Bahama Blue. I love Bahama Blue. I have a funny story about Bahama Blue. A few years ago, Dagwart asked all of the creative consultants and all of the employees that were getting their business cards, new business cards done, what their favorite Americana color was. And as it turns out, Sandy and I have matching business cards because we both love Bahama Blue. It's our favorite Americana color. I couldn't say asphaltum because it's not a very pretty color to put on a business card. But so I put a float of Bahama Blue the same way I did the asphaltum. So just like I did on the gingerbreads, only I'm doing it with the Bahama Blue. And then you're going to shade just in from the edge slightly. I leave a little sliver of warm white, little sliver of that base color showing. And we're going to put a nice wide float of Bahama Blue on our snowman, just like that, all the way up to the top of his head. And then across here, like so, because we want a shadow under his chin, like that. See, it just gives him a nice shape. And we're going to give him a little shadow on the other side too, just a little one, just like that. And then don't forget to get underneath that scarf. Yes, our boss at Dagwart thought it was rather funny that because apparently we think a lot alike. And it didn't go unnoticed that both our business cards had the same Americana color. So there we go. So we've got a little bit of Bahama Blue in there to shade our little guy. So I'm going to dry that, and we're going to deepen this float a little with just a thinned float of Americana asphaltum. Heavily thinned. And these guys are just too cute. So, lots of glaze in the brush, tiny bit of asphaltum. You want it heavily thinned. We just want to deepen this color. We don't want to bury it. So a little bit of asphaltum. It just deepens the color of that snowman a little bit. I love what it does for this. And you can do the shadows as well around those buttons and around the eyeballs. That little float does wonderful things. Just gives our snowman a little extra dimension. So our little fella has a carrot for a nose. And I'm going to use Canyon Orange. You can use any orange you want. I don't put smiles on my snowman or my gingers. If you want snowmans to smile, you can put yours on. By all means. My guys are... So I'm going to give him a little nose. And it's just a little triangular carrot. Nothing fancy. But he needs a nose. And I'm looking. I'm going to give my little guy cheeks. I'm going to give him a little dry brush of that watermelon slice so that he has a rosy little cheek. And I'm going to dry them. I like my little Snowy. He's simple, but he's cute. And the one thing I really like, he is a Snowy, so he's got to have a little bit of snow on his nose. So I put a little bit of white. He's cute. So we have to do a little bit of shading on this scarf, and we have to do the shading and highlighting on our candy sticks there. So I'm using a little bit of Prussian blue. It's one of my favorite colors for shading anything like this. He only has one red cheek because I put the nose on first. But I can put it in. As long as the nose is dry, I can put it in. Feel better soon, Charlotte. So... there we go. Okay, so just for you, I put in his other cheek. I put his nose in too soon. He's so cute. So Prussian blue is my preferred shading color for reds. I like, you can actually mix a little of whatever red you're using with Prussian blue. But I like to use it straight. I do use it thinned, but I do prefer it by itself. Again, just my preference. So we're going to float down the right-hand side and up underneath. Make sure you get underneath those cookies. I like that float over the pink, over the white. I just like the Prussian blue on it. I love how it makes it look. It keeps it cool looking. And it's so easy with reds to have things looking hot or have them looking warm, and I like the cooler aspect of it. So I wanted to keep it cool, and so I'm using Prussian blue over top. So I've got one float on. I'm going to dry it, then I'm going to do it one more time just to get a nice... No scary gingerbread here, Robin. Nope. I made sure they have dark eyes instead of white ones, because the white ones are really creepy. So I'm going to just deepen these floats with another light float. I prefer to do a second coat with thinned Prussian. Another color that works really well is Payne's Gray. Miss Sandy uses Payne's Gray all the time. I'm a fan. I love Payne's Gray. And it works exceptionally well for this too. So once you have that shading in place, we're going to put a highlight in. And we're going to come in from the edge a little bit. Now you can use warm white, you can use titanium white, whichever white you have on your palette. I come in from the edge and I put a float in down the side, like so. So come in from the edge and pull the float all the way down. So it goes through the white, goes through the red. Just like that. And it's going to overlap the Prussian blue, and that's okay. There we go. And it does mute things a little bit, but right away, you get really nice depth right off the bat. Oh, yes, absolutely, Sandy. The Payne's Gray in the media line, bar none, best ever. I don't own Americana Paints Gray. I only have it in media fluid acrylic. So once you have that highlight in, you're going to take a liner brush or a rigger, whatever you have handy. I like a liner. In this case, I'm using, and right on the edge of that highlight that you just put on there, you're going to put a stroke of pure white. Just like that. And it's going to go through both the white and the red. And that's going to give you that slick, shiny look. Just like that. So now we've got slick candy canes. Now we've got graphite lines and everything showing all over the place, but it won't for long. Now, comes to the scarf on this little guy. You can do polka dots. You could use the stencil to do polka dots if you wanted to. Because it's such a small one, a stencil is hard. You could do stripes if you wanted to. But one of my favorite ways to do this, because I like polka dots, I'm going to use the end of my brush. And I'm just going to do a simple diamond pattern like so. So 1, 2, 1, 2. So it gives you that polka dot look. And I'm going to do the same thing to the two stripes, two bands of the scarf. There. And it doesn't matter if they're all different sizes. Yep. So I'm going to dry this really well because it's wet paint and I will smear it if I give it half a chance. And then we're going to do a little bit of shading with, again, with that Prussian blue. Just want to make sure all my dots are dry or dry enough. So my dots are dry. Here we go. So my little scarf here goes right like this. So I had to separate it from the body of the scarf. And then I'm going to separate the two pieces of the scarf like this. And I'm going to dry that real quick so that I don't smear it again. I like polka dots. Polka dots are cheerful. Patrick, have a great holiday. And then I'm going to shade the left side of the scarf like this. A little bit of Prussian blue on the left. And a little bit on the right. And again, if you prefer to use Payne's Gray, by all means, it will work just fine. So I've got a light area in the center of the scarf under his chin. I've got separation here. So rinse your brush. Grab a little bit of warm white. Thin it out. We don't need a ton of it. And we're going to put a little blush of warm white at the top edge of that first one. And here. And don't forget a little bit under the chin. Just like that. So I'm going to dry these little guys. And then we're going to talk about leaves and berries. Now, again, the leaves on this are base coated with a little bit of desert cactus. Now this is the little tag that's going to hang off of this. You can do a wooden one. I put the template in the pattern for a paper one, or you can just get a simple tag like this. And I just base the leaves with that desert cactus. I love this green. I just think it's so lush. And it's a perfect Christmas color. It's just beautifully muted. Has a nice gray undertone to it. And it's exceptional with all of the teals that we've got in this piece. I just love how it looks. Hi, Betty. So, there we go. We've got desert cactus on our tag. And on all of the leaves in our little piece here. So we're going to start with shading our berries. So I'm using Bahama Blue for our berries, just like I did on the snowman. So we're going to use Bahama Blue to shade those berries. So little float Bahama Blue on the left side of each berry, just like that. Simple little float, don't overthink it. Just put it on the right side of each berry. Doesn't have to be perfect. These berries are subtle anyway. But you need that little float in there. We're going to give them some shape. A little bit of depth, which they don't have right now. So, little float. You can come in from the edge just a little, leave a little sliver of white showing. It will help in the end. And then we're going to use our shading color of, remember we used the mermaid tail around the outside edge, keep that darker teal tone. We're going to use mermaid tail to shade these leaves. So make sure you blend it out well. You don't want this color full strength because it is very strong. And we're going to put a V-shaped float at the bottom of each leaf where it joins the stem, right here. Nope, over blended. Don't have enough paint in the brush. Have too much water and not enough paint. There we go. Okay, so we're going to put a nice float at the base of the leaf where it joins the stem, just like that. So it's a V shape or U-shaped float right at the base. And essentially we're just leaving the top quarter of it. I love mermaid tail. YouTube's been really wonky today. Oh, we have sound, hopefully. So, a little bit of mermaid tail. I love this color with desert cactus. I just love how it looks. I just think it's such a great combination. Okay, good. Thanks, Jerry. So that little float just makes these leaves, I love this color together. And it pops off of this surface so nicely. Here we go. Yes, if you don't have desert cactus, by all means use laurel. You will find it's a little bit lighter and a little more gray, but it still works. It's still in that same family, and it works really well with mermaid tail. It's just a little grayer. Laurel is such a pretty color. I love it for things like eucalyptus leaves and whatnot. It's great. Excellent. So we've got that little bit of mermaid tail on those leaves. Just does nice things for that desert cactus. It's such a pretty color. So to brighten and frost these leaves, we're going to use a little bit of either titanium white or warm white, whichever one you have on your palette. And it's heavily thinned. We don't need a ton of color. I'm going to put a little float of it right at the tip of the leaf, like so. And it can go right to the edge. And it'll give you a nicer float if you use the whole chisel edge of the brush. Make sure you get the whole chisel edge of that brush on the surface. Like so. So it's just a little floated highlight right at the tip of the petal. And it's just to give it a slightly frosted look. We're not looking for, that perfect highlight. We're not looking for a solid white. We just want to kind of make this look a little frosted. So if it's heavily thinned and it's a subtle float, it's fine. There we go. And I'm going to do the same thing to the tag. Yes, Lucinda, he hasn't done the wheel yet.
You're almost done.
Getting there. A little bit to do yet. So a little float, base of the leaf. Just like that. Easy peasy. I need to clean up because I overshot the runway. There we go. I like the tag to have some element from the main piece, and I chose to use the leaves because it's simple and it's delicate. So I'm going to put a little float of that, a little bit of white at the tip, just to keep everything looking a little frosty. There we go. Lucinda was worried she didn't get on the wheel. It's all good.
I'm pretty sure she's out there.
Oh, yeah. She's in the chat. She's on the wheel. No, Maze didn't pass out. She's upstairs tormenting my husband. So.
They shared a pair.
Oh, a pair. Yeah. That dog definitely has a unique diet.
At least it's all good stuff.
Yeah, it is. The one that kind of throws me is the fact that she likes tangerines.
Ah, that one.
Yeah, that one threw me for a loop. Maze likes tangerine oranges. So I'm going to use my extra long detail liner, a little bit of mermaid tail. I'm going to thin it out a little bit. And we're going to use that to do all of the stems holding things together. And I like to come up onto the leaf a little. Just a little bit. And I'm using thinned mermaid tail to stroke in these little stems and sticks that connect these leaves. There we go. I love this color. It's just so pretty. This mermaid tail, it's a favorite. The other one I really like is Mystic Teal. The Mystic Teal is just a little more transparent, but equally pretty. So if you don't have mermaid tail, you can use Mystic Teal easily. So I'm just connecting all of these leaves, stroking in these stems with mermaid tail. So pretty. And we do have a ton of graphite lines. We are going to clean those up. So I'm going to dry this really well. And then we're going to finish off those little white berries. And the berries are super simple. So we've got the berries base coated with white. We've shaded them with a little bit of Bahama blue. And I'm going to thin out some asphaltum. And we're going to shade right over the Bahama blue and the white with a float of asphaltum, heavily thinned. You don't want this so strong that it makes for brown berries. But we're going to float over it to deepen that teal a little bit. And then we're going to use that titanium white or warm white to add a nice little highlight to the upper left of each berry. Just like so. Just brightens them nicely. They still read as a white berry, but they're dark enough that they stand off of that surface a little bit, and then the bright highlight just gives them that extra little something. So there we've got nice little bright berries. If you wanted to, you could absolutely switch the color of those berries to watermelon slice and make them red berries as opposed to white. That's entirely a personal choice, but easy to do. So I'm going to dry this really well. Then we're going to remove some graphite lines. Jelly drops for your berries. Oh, that'd be pretty. And then we're going to float the edges of this with a little asphaltum just to deepen it a little. So I've got my big angled shader. I'm going to take a little bit of asphaltum, and just a little. I don't want this really strong. And I'm going to brush that out really well, thin that paint. And then I'm going to float the edges just a little. I just want to deepen that mermaid tail a little bit with a float of asphaltum. Asphaltum is such a great color for toning. So is, if you want a cooler tone, Payne's Gray is fabulous for that. I prefer the warmer tones. That's my preference. So I tend to lean towards asphaltum as opposed to Payne's Gray. So, but again, personal preference. So a little bit of asphaltum at the edges. It just warms this up a touch. So I'll dry that really quick, and then we're going to do this tag. So there we go. So I'm going to set this one aside, and we're going to come over here to this tag. I'm a big fan of doing these little add-ons. I like the little embellishments. One of my favorite things is to add lettering to these little tags, and I'm going to do that, but I wanted to show you a little trick. There is a product out there that you can literally snap your lettering stencils together and click them all together. They are very cool, but they're also very pricey, and they're not that easy to find. So I wanted to show you a really neat trick. I have oodles of these little alphabet stamps. I get these at Michael's or at Hobby Lobby or various craft supply stores. They're usually in their, their dollar bin or their impulse bin at the front of the store. So I love these little stamp sets. They come in very handy. But a lot of people don't like using them because they don't like freehanding the stamps to get words on. So I came up with a little solution. I used a little bit of painter's tape to tape them together. It's temporary. So I tape them together so that I get them all straight. So then I can just do this. So I have let, and now I'm going to take this tape off because I need the T for the next part. So I've got an I. So I'm going to tape these two together. It. And then I did the same thing with the letters for the word snow. And that way, I at least get them all straight. And then to put them away, you just have to take the painter's tape off. And it's a simple way to get those letters nice and straight on your surface. So I'm going to use my liner brush and put the stems in on my branch of boxwood, which, by the way, is what this is. It's boxwood. And I'm going to dry that, and then we're going to age this really quickly. It just needs to be dry, that's all. I'm going to take my big angled shader and some asphaltum, and I'm going to float the edge of my tag like so with asphaltum all the way around. Now I did the same thing to the tag that I did to my background. I put a coat of gesso on. I let the brush marks remain because it creates some really nice textures. So I floated all the way around the outside edge of my tag with asphaltum, and I'm going to dry that. I'm going to use my little fugly brush, and I'm going to thin out some asphaltum, and I'm going to spatter my tag like so, just a little bit, and dry that. And then I'm going to take my stamp pad. Now I'm using a dark brown. This one is a StazOn Timber Brown. And I'm going to age the edges of the tag a little bit with the stamp pad, because I like it that way. I like it to be aged a little. And it is ready to be tied to your mitten. And we only have one more thing to do to this mitten, and that is to add some of these little snowflakes. I love snowflakes. So I'm going to use a stencil brush And I'm going to paint my snowflakes. You can do this with gesso. You can do this with acrylic paint. And then, while it's still wet, I'm going to sprinkle it with a little bit of glamour dust. Like so. And then I decide where I'm going to place them all. Now, you can do as many or as few as you like. I'm a fan, so I like to do at least 2 or 3. Now, I've got lots of glitter on there, so I'm going to position one up here. And I think I'll do one more. Because it's my party, and I'm the boss of me. I get to decide what I do. So I'm going to pick up a little bit of glitter.
Here we go.
And what is this? I love those little letters, except I take one out. What is this? I can't see it.
No.
I love those little letters. I take them out. They all want to fall out. Oh, yes. I do, actually. Most of these, when you take them out, they all want to come out. Sadly, these things are often not connected really well. I usually take a little bit of E6000 or something like that and stick them down really well. You can even keep them in a small Ziploc bag. But whenever I'm going to be doing some straight lines, using a little bit of painter's tape, it really, really helps with that. So I'm going to glue these into place. And while I'm doing that, Mr. Rene is going to spin the wheel. Everything Christmas needs some bling. I could not possibly disagree with you. Oh, my glue is vomiting.
There we go.
Ah,
244 names.
244 names. There's our...
They just took all the doubles out.
Okay.
People thinking they can...
You're the one that's cutting and pasting. Okay.
Liking on Facebook, liking on YouTube.
So once everything is dry, I go in with my favorite black eraser and I clean up any graphite lines. You can always add more glitter if you want. There you go. Little Ziploc bags are awesome for storing these little things. These little boxes don't always work so well. I have tons of the gold glitter. I don't use it all that often.
You done?
I are.
Oh.
So all you would have to do to finish this little guy is to use your favorite twine or ribbon to attach that tag. And you can do it any way you like. I just used a little bit of jute and a little bit of baker's twine that I had to tie the tag on.
Everybody's got baling wire.
And everybody's got baling wire. So there's 100 different ways you can do this. But it's fun to paint. Great way to spend an afternoon. I hope you guys enjoyed this one because I sure did.
Get the wheel.
So Renee's got that wheel all set up. We've got 3 gifts to give away today. Again, they are courtesy of Dynasty Brush in Tombow, USA. We have one of their fabulous limited edition mechanical pencils. Comes in a set with one of their erasers. It's an absolutely fabulous tool. I love mine. And also a set of their professional drawing pencils. So there's pencils, a great little pencil case, little create bag to put your goodies in, and a set of brushes. I believe it's a rigger and a filbert in there. So pick me, Renee. So fun little thing. Hopefully you guys will enjoy it. So spin the wheel. Here we go.
First person. That person.
Margie Eaton. Congratulations, Margie.
Margie.
Your body is crossed. Debbie Buckman Easton. Thank you, Sylvia. I'm glad you enjoyed it. I have lots of fun projects planned for 2025, so stay tuned. And the next one goes to Patty Mornis Berg. And don't forget, if you are watching, go to the website at tracymoreau.net and click on the little speech bubble in the lower right-hand corner of the screen and send us your shipping information. If nobody claims their prize within 2 weeks, they go back in the pile. Okay, and the last one goes to Margie. I know where you live. And not in a threatening way. I know I have your address. Deb Daniker. Awesome.
Hey.
Awesome, awesome, awesome. I think it's been a while since Deb's won one. If ever. I know she's won in the group, but not on the live. Awesome. Miss Deb.
Miss Deb.
So our winners, Patty, Deb, and Margie.
Margie.
Awesome. Okay.
It's about time.
Who said that, Deb? I know it's probably been a long time since she's won one.
She even on?
Yeah, she was here.
She was?
Yep. Okay, guys.
Holy smokes!
Holy smokes, yes.
Just in
You're
time for Christmas.
Just in time for the holidays. So, any prizes from today and orders from today will ship after the holiday. Because we're going to take some time out for family and just us. And I hope that everybody has a safe and wonderful Christmas. And thank you again for joining us every Saturday. We appreciate that you come and watch. We have a great deal of fun. And as always, if you have suggestions or ideas that you would like to see us do during a live, please don't hesitate to let us know. We would love to hear what you would like us to do. So everyone, have a very safe and happy Christmas. We love you. Mwah. And have a happy new year. We'll
Don't
see you
drink and
again
drive.
soon. No? What happened to pet your dog?
Well, it's the holidays. I'm really focused on don't drink and drive.
Don't drink and drive. Okay.
But you still pet your dog.
Oh, yes, of course. Okay, guys. Have a great Christmas. Mwah. Bye.
The thing.
Which thing?
Camera.
Did you get the mic this time?
Nope.
Of course not.